Right, the Shadow Hunter is back in action. All right, family, here it is. It needed to happen. I'm here today with the fire-breathing dragon to hunt the shadows of NEO-ADVAITA, the shadows of radical non-duality. I do so love to illuminate the potential shadows and traps and dangers of various paths of spirituality. And I also love to illuminate the light and beauty and the wondrousness for sure. But today is a day to talk about the traps of NEO-ADVAITA, the radical philosophy of there's no one here, the world is an illusion, this is nothing, this is absence. You may know about this philosophy. It's really come to massive prominence. It's kind of become an increasing fad in the last couple decades. And advocates of NEO-ADVAITA will quickly say, oh, this guy doesn't get it. It's not a philosophy. It's not a philosophy. And that is one of the dogmas of NEO-ADVAITA. Now, I want to say that I have received tremendous value and beauty and liberating potential from NEO-ADVAITA. I think there's a lot of gifts in NEO-ADVAITA. I do want to fully acknowledge that. But I also have always had many spidey senses tingling, telling me, you know, this ain't the full picture. There's something off about this. There's things that should be considered for people exploring this philosophy. So today I'm going to talk about some of those things. So let's get into it. Shadow number one that I want to discuss, let's just go straight for the core here. NEO-ADVAITA negates all value, purpose, and meaning from existence. NEO-ADVAITA literally, and I'm not saying that all proponents of radical non-duality or NEO-ADVAITA do this, so I can't universalize these statements. This is talking about some of the most extreme cases here. So just to be clear on that, but you often hear messages in radical non-duality such as, there is no meaning, there is no purpose, there is no value, there's total valuelessness, total purposelessness, total meaninglessness. And what's really, really fascinating, what has become more clear to me in recent times, and you know, this has been clarifying for years, but shout out to Tim Freak, the philosopher, for really crystallizing and clarifying this insight on a new level for me recently. The insight is that even with approaches to spirituality such as radical non-duality that claim to not be philosophies, they claim to not be belief systems, they claim to be purely experiential, there are there are beliefs, there are ideas, there are obvious dogmas that come with the territory of any philosophy that articulates words whatsoever. It is planting and seeding beliefs and ideas in the deep recesses of our being, our minds, our hearts, our souls, our unconscious minds. And any ideas that are deeply seated within the mind have the potential to become experiential, So this is a huge trap potentially in NEO-ADVAITA and in other forms of spirituality, because people who really buy in to the approach, they deeply internalize the ideas of the approach, and then eventually, after enough contemplation and enough force feeding themselves these ideas, no matter how counterintuitive they might be, these ideas can become experiential. The mind has an enormous power to allow any deeply implanted ideas in the psyche to literally become experiential. You know, I mean, I've had very experiential revelations of Jesus Christ, for example. Having been raised a Christian, I've had mystical experiences of connecting to Christ. And the really interesting thing is, I'm not saying that I discount those experiences. No, I fully honor those experiences. Those are some of the most astounding and beautiful mystical revelations I've ever had that truly touched and opened my heart. I'm not denying those revelatory experiences, and I'm also not denying the revelations I've experienced through radical non-duality, through really deeply going into this path of negation and this path of the undefined and the path of unknowing, and just negating, and saying, no, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. This is all empty. This is all unresolvable. That has led to some incredibly liberated states of, quite literally experiencing this here now as an insubstantial dreamlike phantasm that is just completely doing itself, and there's nothing behind it, and it's literally just like an etheric ghost-like vapor of ungraspable, weightless God nectar that is just dancing itself as a groundless ground. I have accessed those types of revelations of emptiness, and they've been profoundly illuminating and profoundly liberating for me. And what I'm coming to see over time is that spirituality and awakening are, in a profound sense, just opening to a wider range of modes, a wider range of not only perspectival modes, but a wider range of experiential modes. Because any perspective that you really deeply internalize and try on, it can and likely will become experiential for you. It will become your experience. So awakening is just like opening to potentially a vastly wider range of modes than humans normally experience, and really sensitively feeling into those modes and discovering your natural center of gravity as you move through those modes. And again, radical non-duality can open up some incredibly liberating modes. And yet, if you get stuck there, as many people do, if you get stuck on the idea that, oh, this is the ultimate truth, this is the absolute truth, I've now discovered and directly experienced the absolute truth of emptiness, and that there's no one here, and I can't possibly explore or integrate anything else because this is it. This is the final truth, and I just need to repeatedly keep telling myself, there's no one here, there's no one here, there's no one here, so that I can hopefully reach a point of just experiencing perpetual no self, a perpetual condition of zero selfing, which is kind of like the holy grail of NEO-ADVAITA, the holy grail of radical non-duality. The elimination of the most basic and obvious and undeniable fact of life, which is that I'm right here, baby. I'm right here. I'm right here. Sure, I can't precisely pin down what exactly I mean by I'm an ever-dancing, ever-morphing radiance in one sense. In another sense, though, I totally can pin that down. There's a solid-ass physical body right here, and there's a flavor, there's an ambience, there's a very recognizable JB-ness that I enjoy as a musical expression of what I am, and that is right here, is right here. So non-duality attempts to deny and negate that, and I'll share more on that later. But basically, if you get stuck in radical non-duality, if you get stuck in that mode, it can actually become very nihilistic. It can become very solipsistic. For some people, it's extremely liberating and it feels great. For others, it doesn't feel great. For others, it feels highly despair-inducing. For others, it feels very alienating and void-like. And the thing I'm trying to express is that spirituality is about finding your own natural state, your own natural center of gravity among the vast range of modes of how this universe, this wholeness, can be with itself, can experience itself and play with itself and rest with itself and dance with itself. And radical non-duality, or fixating total emptiness, probably isn't the natural center of gravity for the vast majority of people. Probably ain't the natural center of gravity for the vast majority of people. And so it's completely okay if that doesn't feel right to you, and you can admit that, you can just admit to yourself, oh, actually this isn't the absolute truth. That's a dogmatic statement of radical non-duality. This is another mode, another possibility for how nowness, how universe, how godness, nature, whatever you want to call it, can experience itself and be with itself and play with itself. All modes are entirely valid if I'm not digging this mode, then I can happily let myself naturally drift among the infinite other modes that are there and find my natural center of gravity there. So going back to the point, the first point here, the first shadow, radical non-duality tries to negate all value, all purpose, and all meaning from life. And again, this can potentially be a liberating mode to play with, where you see everything as valueless, purposeless, and meaningless. And yet it's also extremely easy to see. It's like, oh, of course that is fucking some people up royally, because yeah, that's like, as a belief system, as a story, which inevitably, it gets deeply internalized as a story and belief system, even if it becomes experiential, it's still absorbing into the deep psyche as a story and a belief system as well. And for many people, that's going to be the most bleak and depressing story imaginable that you can tell about all this. I mean, like, how are you really, like, for most people, to take this juicy fullness of sheer artistry and formfulness, fully inclusive of these sacramental human journeys, and to reduce all that to meaningless, purposeless, valueless, void of nothingness, absence, that's going to be a criminal subtraction and negation that is not going to be life affirming for many people. And so it's completely okay if you don't dig that, if you don't vibe with that, if that's not your natural center of gravity. It's completely okay, and that doesn't make you any less enlightened, any less awake, any less absolute. This is the absolute right here. Ain't nothing more absolute than just you being you, eating a slice of pizza. That is the miraculous functioning of the whole universe. It is. You don't have to attain some condition of zero selfing to be the fullness of what this is. It's always the fullness of what it is. So that's the first shadow I wanted to touch on. The second shadow is negating the world and the universe. So, I mean, it's wild how far radical non-duality tries to go here, fam. I mean, you can kind of see how this can easily be the ultimate form of spiritual bypassing, because a lot of these people say there is no world, there is no universe, this is all an illusion, move beyond this fabrication to, realize the truth of no world, no universe, no self. This is just nothing. This is just absence appearing as whatever it's appearing as, but it's just a naked display. It's just an etheric happening here and now with nothing behind it. Again, this can be a highly liberating mode to play with. I've spent a lot of time playing with this mode, and I've found enormous lightness and liberation there. So I'm not trying to completely throw NEO-ADVAITA in the trash can and throw the baby out with the bathwater. Although I will point people toward teachers who I feel do a better job of fully including everything. I think for me, communicators and teachers such as Peter Brown or Joan Tollefson or John Aston or Tim Freak, Shiv Sengupta, Robert Salzman. These are some people who are really good kind of modern non-duality speakers to listen to. I wouldn't really classify them as NEO-ADVAITA or radical non-duality. I mean, they're influenced by those, but they're kind of like a bridge to healing the shadows and traps and deficiencies of NEO-ADVAITA. So, anywho, NEO-ADVAITA goes as far as trying to negate and deny the whole world and the whole universe. And again, this can be a liberating mode to play with. You can come to see this as just a shimmering vapor-like, ghost-like apparition with nothing behind it that is just, pure weightlessness. And that can be a super liberating mode to experience. Trust me, that has become very experiential for me over time. I can access that right now if I really want to. I can access that right now. And yet it's also incredibly beautiful. The mode of embracing the world and the universe and physicality and, you know, billions of years of emergence and evolution and numberless bejeweled galaxies is and this Gaian paradise we've been given with these gorgeous trees and plants, that is also incredibly beautiful, incredibly heart-stirring, incredibly wonderful. And it's fully okay to not negate that stuff. You don't have to negate that stuff. That can be fully included. You're fully allowed to explore the modes of relating to this world as a child of Earth, as a child of the cosmos, and relating to it as materiality or as pure spirit. You can call it whatever you like, whatever this wholeness is, but you're fully allowed to include all of it. You're fully allowed to include all of it so you can see how that feels for you. You know, I'm just trying to give people a permission slip to explore the full range of modes and find their own natural center of gravity and see what feels right for them, rather than having some teacher on a pedestal tell you, ah, yes, true liberation is when you relate to reality exactly in the way that I relate to reality. It's like, no, that's not fucking liberation. That's just copycatism. That's imitation. That's me trying to become you, motherfucker. I ain't here to become you. I'm here to be me, motherfucker. That's what we're here to do. So dragon fire upon that shit. Burn it down. Burn down these pedestals. Stop trying to imitate Jim Newman or Tony Parsons and trying to experience the exact form of, you know, so-called enlightenment that these guys have supposedly unlocked. You know, that is their preferred mode of relating to this that is. And guess what? There are infinite modes of relating to this that is, and all of them are already fully this, already fully wholeness, already fully universe. So ain't no need to preference one mode over another, play these modes off of each other, create these hierarchies or dichotomies. There's no hierarchy or dichotomy. There's a full range of modes that are here for us to taste and explore and let our awareness just freely drift through and discover the mode that really resonates with our heart and soul, our essential usness. You know, and Peter Brown, bless his heart, was really clear about this point. He's definitely inspired me here with his discussion of drifting through the full range of modes and finding your own natural center of gravity. I love you, Peter. Thank you. The third shadow I want to touch on here, which I've already touched on somewhat, is negating embodied humanity. You know, we have these soft animal bodies, these tender-hearted, gorgeous animal bodies. We're here. We can hug each other. We're human. We're fragile yet glorious creatures of bones and cartilage and sinew, and we have skulls and eyeballs and brains and teeth. This is a fully valid way of relating to experience. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And so much of spirituality really seems like a way of hiding out from this fact because it can seem so fragile. It can seem so vulnerable. And yet there's a tremendous beauty in exploring this mode of integrating the poetry of human life, the poetry of embodied human life. Family, we can have children, we can have babies, we can hug dogs and kittens and elephants, we can swing from the trees. You know, this is not, for most of us it's very unlikely that our natural center of gravity is to completely negate all of these perspectives, these experiential ways of relating to life and relating to experience. So this is another shadow. NEO-ADVAITA just tries to claim that this is objective, absolute truth, that there is no value, there is no purpose, there is no meaning, there is no world, there is no universe, there is no body, there is no humanity. Like, get the motherfucker out of here with that, bro. That ain't objective truth. That ain't absolute truth. That's another valid mode. That's something you can explore. And that can become experiential for you. And it's really trippy when it does. And it can be super liberating for some people. Probably especially if they, on some level, really want to hold their human life at arm's length and they're, they're kind of done with the world and they want to just like snap out of it for a while and be nothingness, but that's not going to be most people's natural center of gravity. It's I recommend exploring that mode. I recommend exploring weightlessness. I recommend exploring just being self-dancing fullness, and this is all this mysterious radiant presence that is just dancing itself, and I don't know what it is and I can't say what it is at all. That's incredibly liberating. In fact, that's one of the main modes of investigation that I tend to recommend to people, is letting yourself play with being with present experience as a pure mystery, as a pure effulgence of artistry that is just dancing itself and scribing itself, like writing on water, and then just morphing and shifting. Can be incredibly liberating to play with that. But to say that the modes that are discovered through that investigation, the modes of emptiness, are absolute truth and everything else is an illusion, that's going too far. That's a hazard. That is a bias that was probably first invented by some of these more ancient Eastern gurus who themselves probably had a lot of trauma. Like, life on earth can be very traumatizing, and it's understandable that some of these ancient Eastern guys were like, the body is a rotting sack of garbage, this human life is a rotting sack of garbage, go beyond it to the pure, supreme, absolute Brahman source and just negate this human life. That's understandable, but you can see how that is also a psychological protective mechanism, right? And we don't have to go there. It's fully valid to embrace our embodied humanity, and it's fully okay if your natural center of gravity as a being involves fully embracing and including your embodied sinews and bones and heart and lungs and cartilage, your feet on the ground, your feet on the earth, including the earth, the universe, the galaxies, the cosmos. The fourth shadow I want to touch on is negating stories. So NEO-ADVAITA tends to claim that, oh yeah, everything's just a story, that's just a story, that's just a conceptual overlay. We can just dismiss that with a flick of the wrist, that's just a conceptual overlay. As if words are nothing more than these flimsy conceptual overlays that are just like laid atop experience, and they can be experienced that way. Again, that can become experiential if you start to see them that way. And yet, simultaneously, stories are mythopoetic, archetypal technologies that speak creation into existence. Stories are like some of the absolute deepest blueprints that we use to encode our deep psyches and our beingness, such that we can orient in the universe, orient in the world. Stories are what we give to our children to form their most fundamental relationship with life. And this is very illuminating when you consider what it would be like to give your children the stories that NEO-ADVAITA tells. Like, I would never tell my daughter, yeah, sorry, honey, you don't really exist. This is all a meaningless illusion, purposeless, valueless. This is nothing. This is sheer nothing. This is sheer absence. You're just a meaningless, insubstantial, vaporous illusion, just with nothing behind it. like, bro, can you see? Like, can that snap us out of the overglorification of this philosophy? What a lot of the great religions have understood is that we need beautiful mythologies to hand to our children that can actually form a way of healthily relating to the world. And some of the greatest religious systems, they pass on these beautiful mythologies and they encode esoteric domains within the religion for those who are called toward the deeper mysteries. No, not even necessarily deeper per se, but just the mysteries of very sensitively exploring the full range of modes of what is here and discovering potentially liberating qualities of, very confronting and very intense or very, vaporous, sky-like, empty ways of relating to this, just infinite esoteric ways of relating to this. Great religions have had, you know, sects and domains, sects, and domains, and monasteries and places where people called toward the deep, the most sensitive investigation of this could explore unusual modes of relating to this to discover, different types of liberation and freedom and potential jewels that could be brought back to the collective. And yet religions have understood that exoterically, like the public facing side of things, needs to provide people with a story that can be a beautiful operating system within the heart of the everyman, within the heart of average people. And in another sense, there are no average people. We're all miraculous expressions of the cosmos, but you know what I mean, can provide a beautiful blueprint for the general mass of people and for our children, And it's so clear when you look at it that way that NEO-ADVAITA does not do that at all. The most extreme forms of it, it's grotesquely bleak. Like, yeah, there's nothing here. There's purposeless, meaningless, valueless. All stories are bullshit. This is all bullshit. Like, come on, get out of here. So yeah, stories. Fully okay to re-embrace stories, embrace beautiful mythologies, embrace the holy word, see that the holy word is holy, speak the name of your lover like you only get to say it once every 1,000 years. Feel the holiness of tongue and lips and vocal cords, uttering these magical, enchanted expressions that can weave entire worlds, that weave tapestries of meaning that are core to what we are as human beings. That can be fully included and fully embraced. The fifth shadow I want to touch on is negating individuality. So I've already touched on this, but again, NEO-ADVAITA can tell you there is no individual. There's no one here. There's no one in this room right now. This is just bunch of meaningless sensory data dancing with nothing behind it. And again, that can become experiential, and that can be a liberating mode of relating to life for those who want to go there and are authentically called to go there. And again, I've found value in going there, but again, getting stuck there and being like, oh, this is the absolute truth. I need to just negate my individuality for the rest of my life. That gets people in serious trouble, because that is bullshit. As they say in Zen, before enlightenment, mountains are mountains and lakes are lakes. During enlightenment, mountains are no longer mountains and lakes are no longer lakes. After enlightenment, mountains are once again mountains and lakes are once again lakes. And of course, that's just one model, one conception of, whatever enlightenment or awakening means. So I don't recommend over attaching to this Zen conception, but it points at a model where a person explores emptiness and explores the possibility of negating and letting go of all of our habitual concretizations, solidifications, and definitions to discover a space of weightless isness, to discover that. And then the Zen path, in that saying, recommends not getting stuck there, but coming back to the marketplace, coming back to the world, and once again seeing that the mode of seeing beings and mountains and lakes and trees as beings and mountains and lakes and trees is also fully valid, is also fully this fullness. So, a lot of people who are stuck in NEO-ADVAITA and finding that it may not be all that it's seemed to be cracked up to be, you may really want to consider that. This coming back to the marketplace and realizing that fully valid, again, to embrace the world, the universe, value, purpose, meaning, those are modes just as fully valid, just as fully it as the mode of emptiness or meaninglessness or negation. And your individuality is totally there. It's totally there. How can anyone, it's just preposterous that the mind is so powerful. We can convince ourselves of anything. We can convince ourselves that I'm not here right now, when obviously I am here right now, radiating this unique flavor of JB-ness that ain't nobody else can replicate. Every single person is an inimitable poem, writ by the hand of creative intelligence of what is, and expressing a flavor, a texture, a multidimensional tapestry of rainbow wonders that no one else can express. That is fucking cool. That's fucking incredibly cool. We're all like fucking unicorns out here. Like, every single person is an artwork of unimaginable subtlety. And you just want to negate all that? Like, nah, bro, that's not going to be most people's natural center of gravity. There's way too much beauty and individuality for most people to want to just negate that. That's my supposition, my hypothesis here. And for me, that's totally true. No, I will not negate individuality. I love myself. I love being JB. I'm here. I'm here, baby. I'm here. And that brings me to my next point. The sixth shadow I wanted to touch on is negating relationality and other people. Some radical non-duality people go as far as to claim that the absolute truth is solipsism, and that there are no other people, and that there are no others, and there is only God, and you are the only one in existence. And again, that's a mode that can be explored and can become experiential, and it can be quite profound to experience life that way. It can open up a lot if that's what you're called to explore at a given time. But to say that that is the absolute truth, no, it's not. That's a fiction. It's just as valid to experience wholeness or universe as like a superorganism, like a superorganismic octopus with infinite tentacles, and every single one of those tentacles is another organism, like fractal tentacles within tentacles, manifesting as additional organisms that are microcosms of the macrocosm. You can also experience that. That's another mode that can become experiential, and that can be beautiful to play with. And again, it's not going to be most people's center of gravity, I highly suspect, to negate all relationship, all other people. Some non-duality communicators tell people to abandon their families, that the cost of truth is everything. They got to throw away everything they know and love. This is horse hockey. This is horse manure. That's hogwash. Burn that down. That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. You heard me? You don't gotta abandon your family. I adore my daughter. I adore her individuality. I adore her heart and soul. And yes, I also see her infinity. I also see the sense in which she is pure dancing mystery, and I can't pin down and say what she is, and that reveals further dimensions of her wondrousness. That reveals further dimensions of her individuality, the way in which it is an ever-dancing snowflakeness that can't be pinned down in any sense whatsoever. That just opens up further dimensionality of her beauty and her magic and her artistry for me. And no, I will not negate her. I will not negate my relationship with her. I will not abandon her. I will always be there for her. I will always be there for her. And to say that that mode of relationality is any less valid or less true than a mode of solipsism, that's draconian. That's dark magic. Yeah. Cast that shit away. Cast that shit away. Burn that shit down. Burn that shit down. If that shit does not resonate, burn that shit down. If that's not your natural center of gravity, if that's not your natural mode, family, burn that down. Because relationality is so core to what we are as human beings. It's beautiful to love other people. It's vulnerable for sure. Of course it's going to mean grief. Of course it's going to mean heartbreak. That's part of the poetry of this life. We don't have to negate that. We can fully embrace that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful poetry. Beautiful poetry. No pedestalized NEO-ADVAITA snake mouth is ever going to convince me to negate my daughter. Nice try, motherfuckers. No. No. The seventh shadow I want to touch on here is negating agency and participation. You know, I mean, even yeah, even some of the people I mentioned earlier, I've heard fall into this trap of kind of saying that, well, you know, someone is awake when they're experiencing non-doership, where everything is just doing itself, everything is just dancing itself, and there's no free will, there's no free choice, there's no individual to make a free choice. And again, that's another valid mode you can experience. That can become very experiential, and it's extremely liberating. It's extremely liberating to let that become experiential. For me, I enjoy spending a lot of time there, actually. I enjoy a mode of just allowing life to dance itself through me. And I can see in this moment now how, in a profound sense, life is just dancing itself through me. And I don't know how I'm speaking these words. I don't know how my heart is beating. I don't know how the universe is accomplishing infinite micro functions that are making all this possible in this moment. Like, so much of that is just doing itself, and it's incredibly liberating to relinquish control and just notice how life can just live itself, and the moment can just dance itself. You just notice that the moment is all we ever have to deal with, and in a profound sense, the moment is doing itself and dancing itself with no maintenance required. And for me, that's one of the most liberating modes to explore and to allow to become experiential. And yet, the addendum to that is that it's also fully valid to experience agency and participation and will and creation and choice. Yes, of course. That's fully included too. That's another fully valid mode that can be fully experiential, as it is for most people on the planet, it seems. Most people experience life as if they're making choices and they're participating and they're dancing. And probably for a lot of them, it would indeed be liberating to get a taste of choicelessness, get a taste of effortlessness, get a taste of wu-wei non-doing. Again, that can be super liberating. But to say that the non-doership is the ultimate absolute truth and a signal of true awakening, and any sense of participation or free will is a clear sign that the person's still stuck in delusion. No, get the fuck out of here with that. Get the fuck out of here with that. You gotta find your natural mode, your natural center of gravity, bro, sis. Like, depending on your karmic makeup, you know, probably depending on, you know, your astrological sign, your you know, your Myers-Briggs, your human design, just different ways of pointing at the specific blueprint that makes you you. There's a great chance that your preferred mode of being, your natural center of gravity, is going to include some degree of enjoying, willing, and creating, and choosing, and participating, and having a sense of agency. And that's totally okay. That's completely and fully okay. You can go as fully into that as you like, and it's no less this fullness. It is no less this wholeness of what is. It is no less the the truth of life. It is no less the truth of life. You know, part of the message I'm trying to get across is that any way life ever is or seems to be, that is the truth of life. That is the universe dancing. That is divinity expressing. That is the most sublime wholeness, being with itself and being itself in a fully valid, a fully true way. There, you know, truth has no opposite. Actuality has no opposite. Everything is actuality. It's all valid modes. It's all valid experience. It's all valid ways for actuality to explore itself. And so, yeah, you know, for someone like me, it kind of comes in waves. I go through phases where I love total surrender. I love choicelessness. I love just this feeling that life is dancing itself and it's just unfolding effortlessly. And at other times, I get, you know, really strong hits of wanting to summon personal power and summon my unique Dragon Ball Z, Kamehameha, and wanting to direct my personal will and my personal agency and my participation in a certain direction, really wanting to, you know, dig in and experience that mode of willing something into existence, and, you know, sometimes needing to grind it out and engage warrior mode and go on a mission to make it happen. That's extremely valid. That's extremely valid. And I feel it's it's a trap and a mistake to try to play these off each other and claim that one is more absolute than the other or one is more true than the other. You know, like virtually everything in existence is, it's both neither, far beyond either. You know, is it free will or is it destiny? It's both neither, far beyond either. Both neither, far beyond either. It's just like they're both valid experiential modes, and reducing the totality of life to either mode is inevitably going to be a massive reduction. You know, neither of these modes or perspectives can ever fully contain this infinite artistry that is here. So they're both valid modes. So yeah, there's no need to negate agency and participation. So anywho, family, those are the 7 shadows of NEO-ADVAITA that I wanted to explore today. Thank you for listening. I hope this has been helpful in some way. Much love, peace, infinity. Amen, namaste. Enjoy the lusciousness of this existence. Enjoy the meaningfulness, the purposefulness, the, you know, utter artistry that is all around us, the utter preciousness, utter preciousness. Enjoy your individuality, enjoy your relationality, enjoy your humanity, enjoy this earth, enjoy this cosmos, and play. Let yourself explore the full range of modes that are here. Whatever calls to you, whatever calls to you. You don't got to do anything, but feel welcome to explore the modes that are here, the modes that are possible, the experiential flavors that are available to us, and just find your natural center of gravity moment to moment. Just let yourself fluidly drift among these modes and find, you know, find what feels right for you moment to moment. It can feel great to let yourself shapeshift and just let any given context call forth the natural expression of you that plays most auspiciously with that context. Life can become this beautiful, fluid master artwork of embodying and expressing and engaging the modes and the experiential lenses that are most auspicious, most artful, most skillful, most wondrous at any given point in time. That's available to us. So yeah, thank you for listening. Sending huge love to you. I love you. I love you. Peace, infinity. Amen. Namaste. Thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Thank you, earth. Thank you, cosmos. Thank you, relationality, individuality. Thank you. Thank you to all the saints and sages. Thank you to all our ancestors, all our descendants. Thank you to every being for being the mirror that you are, the perfect mirror that you are. Every being, thank you for being the perfect expression of wholeness that you are, perfect in your imperfections, all flaws and idiosyncrasies and warts included. And really, yeah, there are no flaws in a profound sense. So just thank you for being you. Thank you to all of life, all of creation, all beings, and just so much love to everybody. I hope this video is valuable and in service of the highest beauty and wondrousness and dancingness and medicine and goodness for the whole of life and for all beings. Peace and love, my friends. Take care.